Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Up Speakeasy. I'm your host, Sareth Ney, and every episode I bring a comic that deserves their flowers. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage is Jason Montilla. How are you, pal?
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me, Sarah. So this is a stand-up speakeasy. I am
Yep.
standing up, and I'm gonna make a drink because it's a speakeasy.
Oh, very nice. What
Yeah.
kind of drink are you making?
Well, I'm going to make a rum and coke because that's although the bottle's kind of cool. It's a Kraken bottle,
Oh,
uh,
yeah,
and I'm gonna make that now. So and I'll make sure that when we speak, we take it easy
absolutely. Good call.
because that's what you do, Sareth. You make everybody just feel nice and easy.
Yep. I'll
Yeah, I was
be.
nominated by Christian Miles, which is funny because when I was watching her show, I'm worried that I'm gonna say so many things exactly the same as she does. So I've got to make sure to come up with different stories. But
And
cheers to you and everyone out there in YouTube land.
cheers to you too, Jason, and I'll be your designated driver for
Thank
this
you.
afternoon. Yeah, you're welcome. So, here I am drinking my water.
I have that too, also in a fun glass.
Awesome. Good stuff. Awesome, awesome. So, Jason, you're armed with a background in improvisation. So, what got you into improv?
I've been in improv since I was in high school. Um, boy, let me see. I think I was taking a theater classes in high school, and I was the first president. Actually, this is a weird story. First president of the drama club at my brand new high school at the time, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. And the only reason I say the name of the high school because now the school is infamous for the Valentine's Day shooting that happened a few years ago. That was my high school. That's where I grew up.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I was the first president of the drama club there, and we were going through different techniques, and my drama teacher wanted to teach us all improv, and I fell in love with it. I liked it way more than learning scripts and lines, even though I've done that quite a bit since. It was a lot of fun to just run around with people and come up with stuff on the fly and stop yourself from thinking. And then I took a pretty long break, and I came back and I went through the whole SAC program, all 4 levels, and then some advanced classes. And I've actually auditioned for getting into the shows. Haven't done it yet, but I will some point. And yeah, now I'm involved at Mama's Comedy Show which takes place currently at Sleuth's Dinner Theater.
wow. Awesome stuff. And shout out to Ali Flores with Sack and like the background is so neat. I always see people doing stand up in there and like with it,
Yeah.
all the doors and everything. It's just so fancy in there.
Well, that's what got me into stand up was Ali Flores.
Awesome. He's a great dude for sure.
He is, and this is where I feel like our conversation is going to go into similar areas as Christian Miles, who's my comedy BFF. So yeah, we met each other in Ali's level 1 class, and turns out Ali and I are the same age. We have similar friends um, from the stand up world because I almost got involved in stand up about 12 years ago, and I didn't. I didn't do it then, but it's about the time that he started, and we both have a mutual friend named Arnie Ellis who was huge in Orlando for a long time, and he moved out to California, but I was kind of palling around with him back then. So through him, I actually already kind of knew a lot of the local Orlando comedy scene, the old school local comedy scene, which was great.
Indeed. It's
So yeah.
changed so much, but there's some that are still around, but they're more the young bucks that are out there and killing it too. So
Oh man, it's so fun. Kevin Dean, um, he was on a show because I also I was putting together some shows too when I got involved in Carmen Vallone's class because I just love to take classes. These writing classes are amazing and they force you to write and everything. And I need to go back to Carmen's class, but um, yeah, I've really gotten a great opportunity to just JP Lambiers and I'm trying to think of some of the people that I've gotten closer to, but Patrick Sisk, of course, yeah. I've seen you in a bunch of places, Gregory Metz, just all these people that are out there in the neighborhood.
Indeed. I try to
Amy
make it
LaCour,
out. Oh yeah, she's awesome.
yeah, she's great.
I have this like improv and stand up. Like one is like a one person sport, and then the other one's like a group sport. And
Yeah,
and so like I found a way to like marry the two together with the High and Dry comedy show. And so Amy and I got together, and well, like she's part of my team that I take everywhere to like Fringe and My Fest and then Orlando Comedy Fest. And so
yeah,
we all write two topics together. Each comic writes two topics, throw it in a bucket, and we have to make a setup right on the spot. So it's a whole lot of fun. Daytona gets pretty wild, but we had to. Amy says, "Keep it clean for this audience, because they're
yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
like if you're dirty." So I went pretty clean on that audience, and they loved me, so it was pretty good.
Oh no, that's great. Yeah, she's doing a bunch of stuff too. Amy LaCour, she last I think it was last weekend. I went to the Winter Park Library where she had rented out this space to do a writing session. It was really more of a writing workshop. And she's been doing that around. She's actually advertising for another one, I think, in maybe in Deltona, but somewhere out there. Yeah, she's not only a good person and a good comic, but she's trying to spread the love in the community with writing and sketch. She has a huge, as you know, improv background, and she's a great comic too. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I love you
yeah,
guys that you guys are doing that. That's great.
yeah. So she said you should bring it to more venues. I'm like, I'm just gonna save that show for festivals, and then yeah. So
How
I
does
just
somebody
submitted.
put together a comedy festival, Sareth? You got to tell me.
So I'm sorry.
How does somebody put together a comedy festival? That
Oh,
sounds
it's
expensive.
not really, especially if you book your friends. So they don't ask for much, so it's
But the
great.
venues are expensive.
The venues? Oh no, the Nog is like my home, and so they're like 100% supportive behind me, like 100%, and
Yeah.
they walk along me, and so I've been at the Nog for like 8 years, and it's like the toughest place to do stand up because like it can get rough. But everyone that's booked there, like whenever I throw my festival like this past year, everyone was so respectful, and they didn't heckle, and they were all on board, and it was such a beautiful sight to see. And but yeah, it's like what I look like. I look at it as compartmentalizing. Like
Yeah.
you break it down into like instead of like you can do like a show, like just take it like pretend it's like three shows in a row that you do in three different cities, but like take it one step at a time, and then it's just a piece of cake after like 10 years of doing it. It's not bad. So
Yeah. Well, congrats to you. It's a lot of work. I know putting together one night of 5 or 6 comics and um, figuring out the lineup and music and all that stuff before you even get to having to reserve the space and all that is enough. So yeah, putting together a whole festival is great. Kudos to you, sir.
thank you, sir. In the
Yeah.
future, I'll have you on too, so you can tag team with Christian and stuff. So
Oh yeah, Christian and I. She talked about this, but my favorite thing to do with her, it's really more improv than it is stand up. But we put together these little shows. We have a rough, it's semi not improv, but we have just a rough idea of what we're going to go and do up there, and we just go up and act like idiots to open up the show and maybe a little bit in between. So yeah, she's a lot of fun. She's got a really good quick mind, and if you haven't seen her do stand up, because we're both really new. I mean, we're babies in this, but if you haven't seen her do stand up, you got to go see her do stand up. To all of you people who are watching, you got to go see her do stand up. She's great.
indeed, I think I saw you and Christian do stand back Lake Mary Pub and Grill or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were at Lake Mary, little place, and you went up, and then it turned into an open mic afterwards. And the reason I remember that is because oh man, I forgot his name now. The guy, oh boy, blonde guy with his mustache, and he was at every open mic, and he was moving, I think, to Michigan or something, and that was one of his last stand-ups that he did. I'm gonna remember his name as soon as I'm off of here because he was he was always at every thin guy, little guy. He was always with um oh man, I don't remember. I'll come up with it.
Indeed.
But
Like
that
the
was
person I can,
his last nights.
oh, the one person I can think of that moved to the Midwest was like Jacob RV. Like,
RV, that's it.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
indeed.
and he went out there and he was, because he goes up there and he's kind of like insults people in the audience for, to be funny or whatever. And I remember my wife was in the audience. She goes, "He's not funny," and I went up and I gave him a hug on stage. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh man, yeah, I love that kid. He gets wild sometimes, but oh man, I filmed my special slash documentary on, and I went to a bunch of mics and interviewed my friends and put him between the sets, and
Yeah,
he was on it, and I didn't expect how long it would be. I thought it'd be like like maybe like an hour or something.
yeah.
Sure enough, it lasted like 9 hours, and Leslie Joe watched the whole thing one time. I'm like, you're crazy.
Leslie Joe, that's another one.
Yeah.
Man, that's another person out there who's like really like. There are some people that go out and they do stand up and they're good. They're fun to watch. They're good to know and everything. And then there are some of those people who like hold the community together. And boy, Leslie Joe's one of those people, especially for supporting like the female comics. There's some really strong female comics in Orlando, which is really good. And she's such a big proponent for them, like advocate for them, and also her her material as well. But just what she's doing for the community is just so great.
Indeed,
She's another one of the good ones.
for sure. Like
Yeah,
it's and there's so many that. Well, there's a few that keep us together, and some of them are just like crabs in a barrel. It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, but
indeed,
it's fun. We were
yeah.
before we got on here. We were talking a little bit about Drunken Monkey, and I had been to an open mic before I was doing stand up at Drunken Monkey, and it's one of the places that unfortunately kind of washed away. And then looking around on the comedy channels and everything, and Gregory Metz putting on another open mic, or is it a show or is it open mic or
Open
both?
mic.
Open mic, yeah.
Yep, yep.
So that's opening back up again. That's exciting, and that's almost walking distance. So that's great.
Oh wow. Yep,
Yeah,
you're pretty close to the Milk District, so that's pretty awesome.
yeah, yeah. I'm about I mean, realistically, I'm about 2-3 miles away from there, but I can get there. I can get there pretty quickly. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm when I filmed when the open mic was still going on, I filmed my set there and for the special, and my camera died. Like the it just completely went kaput, but the audio was still recording. So I was like, thank goodness I still at least have the audio. And so I called that video "Black Screen, Black Coffee" or something like that. So it's like
you should have
improvise
had
the title.
pictures of yourself at the microphone just sliding by.
Indeed. I should have done that. I should have put my picture on there, but oh man, sometimes you got to ease in with your dirty jokes at that place because
Yeah.
everyone's trying to do their homework. So,
Oh, sure. Sure. I remember the first time I saw you, you were taking pictures of me on stage at an open mic, and I think it was at the Rocket. I think it was at, that's one of my dogs. She gets very upset when anybody walks anywhere near the house. I think it was at the Copper Rocket. Um, that's the first time I saw you, and you came up and you said, "Hey, I'll get you these pictures." And I see you with pictures often. I feel like you're like the the documentarian of the Central Florida comedy scene. I feel like you have a lot of gems over the years, I would
oh
guess.
yeah, like my Facebook photo albums date back like 6, 7 years. I'm like since I started doing it, and I'm like, and I took like a year off, and then I think I'll probably pick back up to like you know putting the photo albums again together, but it's just a hassle. Like
Yeah,
you tag a friend and then their friend comments on it being a jerk, and I'm like, I
yeah.
should just block them. Like, and
Well, people are gonna hate. What are you gonna do?
that's true. If you don't have any haters, you're not doing anything right. So,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
That's right.
and and plus all the photos are they go to good use. I mean, a lot of them have been on like comedy flyers on stages that I've never been on, and I'm like, huh. at least it does pretty good stuff. Like Donald Evans just used it for Florida's Funniest the year that he won. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's nice of him, you know. So
Man, Donald Evans, that's another one too. Watching him, like he and Kevin Dean are having a moment right now. And Cam, right? Like what just watching them, and really hasn't been like it's just great to see them. Kevin and Donald, they're just good people too, which is that's great. When you see good people, good things happening to them, it just makes you feel good.
oh yeah, most definitely, and they deserve all their flowers for sure,
Yeah,
indeed. So you're
you provided the photos. That's great.
I got the photos for everyone pretty much. I got
Yeah,
to start. Yeah, like Cam still uses my like for his profile photo on Facebook. He still uses the one from the Nog where he's it looks like he's reaching out and like this the light shining on him. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah. That's your picture.
yeah,
Nice.
yep. And then Ross has one that he uses all the time too that I took from the Nog from the fest. It's like, man, these Nog shots are something else. There's a lot of history in these walls, so I'm
And
so
no
thankful.
photos of you.
I know it's rare to find me for sure. Like I don't know why I don't like some. Well, like Amy took a photo of me on, uh, and so did Robin Love, and so I just screenshot them and just save them. So
Yeah. I think you were at Mannequins, right?
I wish I
Recently.
was. I never got to go to that
You
one.
ever got to go to Mannequins? Oh, I feel like Mannequins would have been a good room for you. Amy's room in Sanford. That place is weird.
Hmm.
It's a weird place. You walk in, and I mean, it's really it's a bar slash dance club, I guess. But they literally have mannequins around, and they're dressed up all weird, and it's a and there's some like horror masks here and there. It's a cool weird vibe, and I don't know. It just looked like a place that like you would fit naturally in, like the jacket that you wear all the time, and or the vest, and your hat and your general look and your material. I just think would be really good there. I get maybe for some reason I thought I saw you there. Obviously I didn't. I think I was just thinking this would be a cool place for you. Well, that's a
I went,
shame.
I
They
went there
canceled
as a yeah. I went there as a patron once, and then I tried their open mic, or I signed up for the open mic once, two like there's two different occasions, and they started pushing it later and later, and I'm like, well,
that.
I
Yeah.
can't stay. I gotta go to the Nog, and so I never got to perform there. And like the show that I was supposed to be on, they canceled that very show, and then the rest of them. I'm like, oh well,
That's
too
what
much.
it was. Yes.
Mhm.
Your name was on the that's what it was. Okay.
Indeed. And so they said that they'd have one-off shows, but I'm just like, it wouldn't be the same without my pals. It wouldn't be the same without Amy producing it.
Yeah.
And she tried to
Amy
hand it
worked
off to
for
another
them.
comic, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But she's always the good thing about Amy is like she's always like creating something for us,
Yep.
and so I couldn't put in the like a weekly or monthly show like her or something. I'm like, I tried it once before. I'm like, I'm just happy doing two annual things and giving people their flowers that way, and because we all play our position in the comedy world, and so like I know what my position is and what I can do for the scene, and so
Yeah, no, you definitely have your thing. I agree.
for
Everybody
sure,
knows who you are. That's a good thing.
yeah, it's pretty trippy, good or bad. They know who I am, so
Hey, knowing having the recognition, it doesn't matter how. It's a good thing.
absolutely,
Unless it's having recognition for all the bad things everybody's getting canceled for, like all of my favorite comics growing up. But nonetheless, it's still everybody knows who you are.
absolutely, for sure. Yep, it's a sad world when everyone's getting canceled, but it had to happen. The ecosystem spits all the bad ones out, and sometimes it takes it back in for some strange reason. I don't know,
Well, I
but
think I don't know. Like I feel like I'm going to sound so old. By the way, I totally agree with you. Like when you do something stupid, and you are found to have done something stupid or not stupid. Stupid's a bad word. When you are found to do something that you have victimized somebody, that's the real thing. Victimize somebody, and hurt somebody. Yeah, I mean, I think you absolutely deserve to be called out for it. But in some cases, when it's maybe it's not really a victimizing thing, but maybe, your material 20 years ago wouldn't fly today. It's like, yeah, but comics are doing the material that flies for the time period, and I think there are some comics who have adapted, and yeah, sure, well, Eddie Murphy's not really doing stand up anymore. His stuff that he did, back in the 80s would not fly today, a lot of it, especially like the homophobic stuff, for sure, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think he would do that today. And I don't think he'd necessarily be, well, I don't know, I can't speak for Eddie Murphy, but he probably would not be okay. He'd probably be like, "Oh, I can't believe I did that." It was like our minds were different. Everybody was different, and now you look back and you're like, "Oh my gosh." So I can see where some people like that would kind of come back up and say, "Hey, this is different stuff I'm doing," but yeah, no, I can't make a lot of excuses for people like like Andrew Dice Clay, that I grew up with. I loved Andrew Dice Clay when I was in high school, and now listening back, it's pretty cringy. It's pretty cringy. He hasn't changed his material. You don't see
Yeah,
him very often anymore.
and true. And I think Eddie Murphy has evolved and matured because he does like family movies and stuff. So
Yeah.
he's
Well,
definitely
he likes money.
grown
I mean,
from.
yeah.
And if you want to make the big bucks, got to be clean, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you, in the short
So
time, in the almost 2 years here that I've been doing this, I actually, I think we're at 2 years. I'm trying to get a cleaner set myself. It's more difficult to write clean, and it's kind of a challenge. And I'm trying to change because I think when you first start writing, and I'm sure you can relate to this, you first start doing stuff that is funny and stuff that's funny with you and your friends and all that. And most of the time, that's like, kind of dirty stuff where it's being dirty is funny because it's risque, and it, I think as you become a little bit more mature, not everybody, but as becoming a little bit more mature in your comedy, you tend the cleaner stuff ends up being a little bit more difficult to write, and I think the payoff is better. But even if you stay blue, the way you write the material is still more mature. Even if you stay blue, even if you're using every curse word out there, sexual situation, etc., I think your writing still progresses. And if it doesn't, then you never make it past, the local, local open mics. But yeah, I think just naturally. But yeah, I think clean is difficult, and I want to see if I can do it.
indeed. And like the only way I can work clean is if I turn into my superhero alter ego, or if I
Yeah,
do a high and dry comedy show at the Orlando Comedy Festival.
yeah,
But I have a clean set with like 10 minutes of clean stuff, but I got 30 minutes of dirty stuff, no
yeah.
curse words. So it's fun.
30 minutes of not clean, but there's still no curse words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I earned the nickname "the cleanest, dirtiest comic in Daytona Beach"
Yeah.
because of it from Kevin Tibbert. So it's like,
Oh,
all
that's funny.
right, indeed.
That's
And
good.
my other buddy from Chicago that lives in Chicago now calls me the poet laureate of Pornhub. So it's like,
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm starting to remember some of the stuff. I'm like, well, what's dirty about Ninja Turtles?
indeed, so many Ninja Turtle jokes. I love it. It's like that's like my opening like joke is the Ninja Turtle joke if I do a clean room, but if I'm doing a dirty room, I just hit him right away with like a dirty sexual joke, and so
Yeah,
you just got to read the room to see what people like the most. But definitely, yeah,
yeah. I mean, I find out from whoever's running the show. It's like, what is it that you're looking for? How am I going to make you look good? And if they say do whatever, I do whatever.
yep. It's like you warned me, I warned you, and let's go.
Yeah, on Saturday I'm doing a Cinematique in Daytona, and which I've never done, which I'm excited about, and it's a costume show. So patrons are allowed to wear costumes, and I'm gonna wear a costume. And I'm actually the costume I'm wearing is actually part of a character I played in a children's show years ago. So I'm gonna try to do my whole set in this character.
Oh
That's
man.
my challenge. We'll see.
That sounds like fun. I wish I could be there, but I got to be in Jacksonville on next Saturday. So,
What are you doing in Jacksonville?
oh, I'm gonna go see John Waters. Um,
Nice.
yep, he's doing this female trouble. He's talking like providing director commentary, and so, and then probably watch the UFC fights with my buddies. That are comedians up there too. So right after,
Cool.
but yeah,
Yeah,
should be
that's
fun. Yep, tickets were like $60 though, but I'm
yeah.
like, it's still worth seeing John Waters. So
Yeah, no, I think so too. That's a good trip. When I was a kid, I used to think that Jacksonville was where Michael Jackson was from because it's Jacksonville. My uncle used to say, "What do you? Is there a Montillaville?" And there actually is in Spain. There's a place called Montilla. So there you go.
wow,
But
definitely
John
got to
Waters,
go. Got a Montillaville.
well,
Write
it's
a
not
song
Montilla.
about it.
It's a vineyard in Spain, which is technically where my last name comes from.
Oh, awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah.
My last name comes from Napoleon because the Cambodians have like French roots, I guess. So I guess Napoleon works out. I'm short too, so
Me too. I think we're about the same height,
I
similar
think
height.
so. Well,
Yeah.
like Napoleon sticks to dynamite. That's the
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're Cambodian?
Hmm. If I
Cool.
get I get everything else though, but because there's
Yeah.
not a lot of Cambodians in Florida, I don't think.
Yeah. No, that's you don't hear that all. I'm Puerto Rican. You trip on Puerto Ricans walking out the door in Central Florida, so that's easy. But Cambodian, yeah, that's interesting. That's a good one.
Indeed.
I haven't heard that before. I didn't know that.
There's like
I thought you were in.
Oh, Chris Saunders, he's a Sarasota comic. He's like half black, half Cambodian. And then Forrest Beers out of Tampa, St. Pete area. He's white, but he did like missionary in Cambodia, so he knows how to speak Cambodian. So it's pretty cool to have like three comics that are like that have like that are part Cambodian in some form or fashion. So yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. So there's
That's
three of us out in Florida, so that works
Yeah,
out. So,
there you
indeed.
go.
So
That's a show right there.
yeah, that'd be a fun show to do for sure. I'll reach
Yeah.
out to Chris and stuff, and we'll see what we can do. So yeah,
All right, so
Forrest.
I gotta know what spawned the name Speakeasy for the
Um, because I'm like a soft talker, and like we were like when COVID happened, like no mics were happening, no shows were happening, and so this show was born out of it, and so it reminded me of like the Speakeasy, like back in like the Prohibition days. Like, hey, we can still hang out, but we can't just do shows anymore. But like for
right.
Daytona, it was like we had like a 4 month break and everything was back to normal, and because we didn't care, and so because we're wild, Florida is wild, Daytona is even wilder. And so yeah, I started interviewing comics that I knew that moved to different states. And then I had them nominate 5 comics, and then they nominated 5 more comics, and it just grew and grew and grew. And like 100 interviews deep later, I got like comedians from coast to coast in Poland, and I was like, this is pretty awesome.
That is cool, but I would imagine you're gonna get people nominating. Like I feel like everybody I would nominate to you are probably people you either already had on or have been nominated already. Just because, like a lot of people I already talked about, there's no way somebody hasn't already nominated those people.
Indeed,
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
who haven't I named? Like Rue, who does the Silly Geese show. Trying to think. I mean, just off the top of my head, I feel like anybody that I would nominate would. What happens in that case? Do you do interviews again?
Nope. We just like keep it moving because I only want comedians to be on here at least once because there's
Yeah,
just so many comics to get through, and I'm like, it wouldn't be fair to like do another interview and do a
sure.
part two, and I'm like, yeah, I got to keep this train moving, and so it's like, they had their spot moment in the
Sit
spotlight.
outside of
There's
Carmen's class and and see who's getting some stuff rolling and be like, hey, you want to be on the show?
indeed. We'll get
Yeah.
to that at the very end. But besides, oh, I forgot to ask you, like, how long can I keep you?
What do you mean for interview?
Like, yep.
Oh, what, however long you need me.
Okay, cool. Because like Chris Robinson out in Melbourne, we did like 3 hours or 2 hours, and then
Yeah.
a comic in Chicago, and I did like 4 hours. So
Oh,
we went like full Joe Rogan. So,
full
but
show.
indeed, so you unleash a comedic symphony of act outs and misdirections that
That's
leaves
right.
audience wondering if they've stumbled into a parallel universe where laughter is a universal language. And like when I was reading your bio, like it reminded me of like a Melbourne comic used Chat GPT to come up with his bio, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds so much like Chat GPT. It was like Julian McNeil was his name, is his name. So he did the photography for
Yeah.
Orlando Comic Festival. So, but yeah, so tell me about that misdirections and all that good stuff.
Well, so this is what I'm wanting to get to. You know what I mean? I I would say, since I'm a performer first, and when I say performer, I mean like a theatrical performer, improv performer, things like that, character performer. Stand up, I'm not used to going up necessarily and being just a very, dry, like, hey, blah blah blah. Here's a joke. Here's a joke. I do some of that as well, but I have the most fun when I'm doing act outs, really getting into the characters that I'm playing. Um, I imitate my wife a lot, and to it's not always the best thing for me to do, especially when she's there. But that's part of my act. But yeah, I create situations and scenes, and my transitions, I think, are I'm not the fact is, I'm not good at transitions, so I just go from one thing and then I start something completely different. And I learned that from Robert Schimmel, who comic from the 90s, 2000s. He would just go from one thing to another, and not having a transition and just having that abruptness, uh, it it it's it that ends up being funny. I get a lot of laughs just from going from one thing to another, because people start to correlate them and it doesn't make any sense. So that's the misdirection part. But yeah, I would say I have the most fun being in a character. Just being in a character on stage, whether I'm doing improv or I'm doing my stand up. Um, Even though I know you're supposed to do it exactly the same every time, I add a little something different each time when I'm doing those act outs. But yeah, that's my favorite thing about stand up is the act outs.
Oh yeah, indeed. Like I feel like I'm not. I should be more mobile, and but I'm just standing like right there, and like my transitions are like I call it like a comedy of age album, like on like my act, because I tell them like my transitions are when I was 9, when I was 15, when I was
Yeah,
26 or whatever, and that's like helps me break up each joke, and so I just go in order, and sometimes like it starts off nice and easy. So it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. It starts off nice and easy. Leatherface appears, and all hell breaks loose, and bodily fluids are everywhere. So it's like,
yeah,
so that's my stand up in a bottle. So
there you
it's
go.
like,
Yeah, go see Sareth,
yeah,
and
no curse words though.
make sure you
Patrick,
bring make sure you bring an umbrella and a poncho.
indeed, it's like Evil Dead the musical. Like there's a splash zone.
That's fun, by the way. And I need
Yeah.
to look at I need to look it up again. I saw a local production of that show. I think I need to go see like a bigger budget professional version of that show, because that's a lot of fun, that show.
Hmm.
Like
I saw
Christian
it in.
Miles, I also love the horror, and that's a fun show. It's more comedy than horror, but yeah, that's a fun
Most
show to see live.
Most definitely. I saw that Planet Hollywood, I think was in Las Vegas, and it was just so much fun.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So that was a professional show.
yeah. And
So
my
is there
buddy,
like more blood? I mean, have you seen like a local show, like a lower budget show version of it?
I haven't no, but I'm sure it's fun. Like I
Mm.
love like those wild shows like that. I got to cover Guar at the House of Blues on the Sunset Strip when I was a concert journalist in LA, and like I was soaked, and I was in the photo pit like for the first three songs. It was just all their bodily fluids were just splashed at me. Like
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, that's yes. Yeah, Gore's fun, and they're still touring too, even though the band's obviously different. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fun show.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It never ends. And I also covered like ICP in
Yeah,
Jacksonville, but I stayed in the far balcony because I know that the Fago is gonna get everywhere, and it's much more stickier than
right.
Guar's bodily fluids. So which is
Water
interesting.
based. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
indeed.
Fago is not coming out of your clothes for a while, and
Mm-mm.
especially if you're in a field. There come all the bugs.
Oh yeah, it's Rancho Cucamonga for sure.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like when I interviewed a band that were on tour with ICP, like Violent J crashed my interview, and so did DJ Paul from 36 Mafia did too.
Oh,
And
cool.
I'm like, we're supposed to make this like a 5 minute interview, and then they made it like almost like 17 minutes long. It's like
Were
a
they
wild interview.
in full get up, like full makeup and everything?
Yeah, Violent J was in full
Yeah.
makeup. Yep, it was wild. He asked for hoverboards. I'm like, this is so crazy. Yeah. It's on my Instagram if you scroll down, and I just cropped that part out. I should have. I couldn't put DJ Paul's portion on there. It's on my YouTube because like he talks about like some disturbing things like
Yeah.
getting laid and marijuana and stuff, and it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna keep this one on YouTube and put like an age restriction on this one.
Oh, is that how you get around the? Oh yeah, I guess you can put the age restriction, but then you kind of limit your audience, I guess, if you do that. But yeah, okay. So
Yep.
when you put age restrictions on YouTube shows, it you can do whatever you want, kind of, as long as you're not violating copyrights.
I'm not sure how it works. I mean, I don't. I always want make my interviews and everything like age restriction because because sometimes we say things that I don't want
Yeah, yeah,
people
sure.
that are, you know, and I don't know. I don't. My channel's mostly like, there's like one curse word or two or something, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I just gotta protect the children from watching like
of
my
course.
stand
Yeah,
up, and when they're ready, when they're 18, they can just click, yeah, I'm 18, and watch it.
yeah,
So.
yeah. Especially when you have things like, when you have like uh, bare butts on the screen like this here.
Oh yeah, from a
Yeah,
flamingo.
that's a flamingo butt. That's what that is. We got that at
Reminds me of
a show in Orlando.
oh sweet.
Yeah,
Reminds me of John Waters with Pink Flamingo.
yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
that movie was so raunchy. I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching this. But and that's why how I became a John Waters fan. It was like he went all out on that one. So
There you go. Well, and now you're going to go see him.
yeah, pretty excited. I
Have you
can't wait.
seen him before?
Not in person though.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well,
for
cool.
sure.
I'm excited for you. That's fun.
Same. Yeah, my October, November, and December is gonna be so much fun. I'm like, I needed this break from like this past year. I need to end it with like a great uh 3 year run. I'm gonna go to Chicago and in December, which is crazy because it's freezing up there. So, but it'll happen. I went in November and I had to wear like 3 levels of clothes. And it's just like too
Yeah.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have.
Chicago. I haven't been in a few years, but it's also just really cool out there. For people who haven't been to Chicago, I don't know what I was expecting, but I think the reason it's so cold, especially in when you're getting towards the winter months and even the fall, is because it's all water. It's like a city built on rivers. There's just water everywhere. It's almost like if Venice had. I've never been to Venice either, but if Venice had, tall buildings, Chicago's really. I don't know. I think Chicago's really cool.
Oh yeah. And people say it's violent, but it's like only like it depends on where you go. It's pretty much like
Yeah,
any city, It's like as long as you avoid it, you're gonna be fine. And I did 2 comedy shows out there, and it was just like the time of my life. I'm like, if I had to go and pursue comedy, it'd be there, Atlanta. I was gonna think Austin, but everyone's moving there. I'm like, just Atlanta and Chicago are
yeah.
fine with
Why is
me.
everybody going to Texas? What's in Texas that Orlando's pretty? I don't know. We need to build up Orlando, but anyway, go on. So
Yeah,
what's in Texas?
Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe, pretty much. And like everyone just flocked. And like it was just so much more open and more freedom than California. And so that's why
Yeah,
everyone moved there. And it just caused this comedy boom. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's why everyone moved to Florida after, the whole COVID thing, because there was so much freedom down here.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah,
I
it's
know.
just
But then you have
it,
the rest of Texas around Austin. That's I don't mean to insult anybody, but you might as well just be in Florida, you know?
Yeah, indeed. But there's just and you don't have to drive as far either for comedy. Like everything's on a 4 block radius, and it's just like it's its own hub. And I'm like, gosh, to live in a city like that would be just fantastic because I'm tired of driving an hour just to do 5 minutes and sometimes
Yeah,
bombing. It won't hurt as bad if it's only like within like a 4 block radius. So
yeah, that's a good point. So wait, now you're thinking of moving to Austin?
well, I just want to like try it once to see what the city is like. I know it's like a big old party town and like downtown, but I'm like, I'm old and I've done that party town stuff with LA. I don't want to do it again, and
Yeah,
something more
they have a
relaxing.
great music scene too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But then what if like another Sweat Fest was born in Austin? I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to just like I'm happy with my 2 babies. Like it's a bit too much to keep on growing.
Yeah,
It's Yep,
no,
yep.
that makes sense. I don't know. I want to go. I've never been. Um, I want to go for the music, and I guess now the comedy to go to see all the like the friends I've made in the last like year or two that have all moved out there. Uh, things change. Things
Yeah.
change.
Yep. Can't predict the future, so whatever happens, happens. But that, and plus, you don't have to pay for mic time either. That's what I love about Chicago, Atlanta, and I guess Austin when I go and find out for myself. But you don't have to bring people to go to your show, and
Oh, I
it's
see
not
what you're
like New
saying.
York or LA, and so
Yeah.
it's beautiful. But yeah, and so you
I thought
hail
you were
from
comparing
Coral.
it to here.
I'm sorry.
I thought you were comparing it to here. I'm like, I've never paid for mic time.
Uh, oh yeah, same here. That's why I love Florida too. It's like you didn't have to pay for mic time, and so you originally hailed from Coral Springs, and
Coral
uh,
Springs, Florida.
yeah, what was it like growing up out in Coral Springs?
I used to call it Coral Springs 90210.
Oh,
Yeah. It's changed a little bit. Coral Springs is a little bit more standard South Florida neighborhood now. But when I was first growing up there, um, I think it was a little bit more of kind of like where the rich kids went, and that wasn't my vibe. So when I moved out here to Orlando for college, it was great. Like I was out here with all like the rednecks and stuff, which I maybe didn't agree with politically, but it was just nice to be with people who I don't know didn't necessarily come from the same private school background. And I'm not downing private school background, but when that's all everything is, it gets a little fake sometimes. So growing up in Coral Springs at the time I grew up there, it was a little bit more like that. Again, going back now, it's just a regular community. But I was 20 minutes away from the beach. I used to ride my bike everywhere. It was a good time. I mean, a lot of the people that I grew up with still live there, and actually a few people that I grew up with are also in the entertainment business now too, which is really cool. I have a couple friends in New York that are entertainers in comedy. Funny enough, and a good friend that's in California that's doing. He's an actor, but he started out as doing stunts and acting, and he started in Coral Springs, came out here to Disney. He was in um, the I forget the name of the show, the lights camera action, the car stunt show that's now the Star Wars area at Disney. So he was doing that, and now he's out in Hollywood, and he's in different shows and things like that too. So yeah, there's some cool stuff that came out of Coral Springs, and emo apparently was Coral Springs was a big launching ground for emo bands. That was a
oh,
little past me. I was already in college, but yeah.
indeed. Oh man, emos and like I remember seeing like AFI's like side project Black Audio at the Roxy in LA,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was just so rad. Like everyone had their emo cuts and everything, so it was pretty interesting. And it was a sold out crowd. I mean, it was cool to see like Black Audio different from AFI. It was just like, huh, this is totally different. So
I didn't get into it as much as maybe I could have, but I don't know. I think emo was kind of a fun time. It was kind of a neat mix of like punk and just like whiny screaming, but it was honest to a lot of degrees. So like it didn't have to all be. Which, by the way, I love metal. It didn't all have to be metal, like that kind of a thing. And it was yeah, you know. And I don't know. I just thought it was fun. It was a fun time. It just I kind of missed it because I kind of aged out of it. But going back now and listening to some of the stuff that came out of that, yeah, I totally would have been into that if I was in like high school at that time.
Same
Um,
here.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm still stuck with my Deftones and my Wu-Tang Clan, and I'm like,
right.
I'm good.
Yeah,
Which
it's
is
like,
on my shirt and my beanie. So
oh, I know your beanie. Do you ever do you sleep with that on? I'm just curious. I don't think I've ever seen anything above your eyebrow.
nope, I sleep with it off. But
Okay.
it's like my trademark. So I was like, everyone knows the Wu-Tang Kid, and it's like a funny story because like it was just like all out of like meeting them at random points in my life, and so like I was like,
Even
hey,
the ones who aren't around anymore.
so what?
Even the ones who aren't around anymore.
Oh, I wish I met ODB. Like the only people that I haven't met are Jizza and ODB. Those are the only two that I haven't met. But I got pictures with everybody else except for Ghostface too. So it's pretty interesting. And everyone was like, "Yeah, you should be like Woo Man for like Halloween." And I'm like, "He
Yeah.
sounds too much like a woman." I'm like, "How about Wu Manchu, like the Fu Manchu?" And like yeah, that works. And so it just like took off. And I was like, I wear it to like horror conventions and like comic conventions and people just go nuts because there's like no Wu Tang superheroes, and
Yeah.
like there's like Freddy Krueger's a bunch of them and a bunch of Jasons and Supermans. There's like only one Wu Manchu, and everyone like wants photo ops with me. It's like it's pretty awesome.
That's that's. I think that's a good idea. Wu Tang is out of L.A., right?
New York, New York.
Oh, they're out of New York.
Yep, yep. Like Staten Island and Brooklyn and stuff like that. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
So growing up in Coral Springs, well, they're not Coral Springs, they're Miami, but we had Two Life Crew was out
Oh
of
yeah.
South Florida. Um, Wu Tang was obviously later than that, but for some reason I thought they were out of LA. Okay, they're out of New York. Okay, that's terrible. Like I'm about to get shot because
You're
I can't
fine.
disrespect the regions. But okay, cool. Yeah. So well, the reason I guess the correlation I was gonna make is did you meet them from being in LA? But you probably did.
Yeah, a lot of them. Like I first met like the RZA first, like out of all the members, because I went to the Method Man, Redman, and Ghostface show at the House of Blues on the Sunset Strip, and I was like doing my internship at the time, and I was waiting for my car, and this guy that was Jizz artist was like, "Hey, I'm waiting for my car too, and you look like you went to a bunch of Wu Tang shows because your clothes are so old." It's like they had holes in the elbows and everything. And then I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just out here doing my internship with my favorite director and all that stuff." And he goes, "Who's your favorite director?" He's like, "Oh, it's just Clive Barker. He did like Hellraiser and Hell Candyman stuff." He goes, "No
Did he
way."
direct those?
Yeah, he the original stories are
I know
Hellbound
he's a
Heart.
writer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Candyman was the Forbidden, and Nightbreed was Cabal, and so like
Yeah.
the
No,
list
I know.
goes on
I
and
know.
on.
Nightbreed was one of my favorite movies when it came out. Yeah, I didn't know he directed them. I knew he was the writer behind it. I didn't
Oh
realize he
yeah,
had such a hand in the. Wow, I didn't know that.
indeed. Well, he Bernard Rose did directed Candyman, but he like the original story was from the Forbidden from the Books of Blood, and so yeah, it was like and I thought it was just like smoke and mirrors, and like I was doing my research for Clive at a Barnes and Noble in
Yeah.
Palmdale, and he hits me up because we exchange numbers, and then I hear Riz's voice in the background, and then it was just like. And then it's just started rolling with all these Wu Tang members. I'm like, this is bonkers. And
Oh,
then I
that's
met a few more in St. Augustine too. So it was just bonkers the whole time I was out there.
that's cool. That's cool when it just happens organically like that, and you're not going to an event to see them.
Hmm.
Um, that's cool. That things like that only happen in like New York and LA, and I
Oh
guess
yeah.
Austin now, which apparently is where we should all be. I'm upset because I don't want people leaving Orlando. That's why I'm upset. I'm not upset at Austin. I'm upset at people leaving.
Yeah, same here. Like all the best ones are going, but eventually they'll find themselves back home. But for now, they should just chase their dreams and when it's
Yeah,
time to retire, they can retire and um
they come
stuff.
back.
Yeah. Like, and plus they're really young, and I'm like, well, except for David Jolly, he's like 43, but like,
Wait, he moved?
yeah, he moved. Yeah.
Oh, I
Hmm.
used to see him on the like randomly. I'd see him on the street. We'd my wife and I'd be like walking to the Orlando City game, and we'd pass each other once. But I'd see him on the streets just around and just wave hello.
He's
Uh,
actually going to be in Stanford tonight at the West End Trading Company, performing stand up.
oh, what's he doing back here now?
He's on tour with Uncle Laser.
Oh
Yep, indeed.
man, I didn't
Yeah.
realize he was gone too. Wow. Well, see, there you go. They're just all the numbers are just knocking down. That's what it is.
Yep. Ike Rafferty's out there, Cam's out there, Jimmy Moynihan's out there. Like
Yeah.
everyone's like just fleeing us. So.
Yeah, Jimmy did mannequins right before he left, and I knew Ike was going out there. I was in one of his roast shows. Yeah, he pretty much he was Grumpy's and that whole little group out there. Actually, Gregory Metz is now doing a show at Grumpy's because Christian's in it coming up soon. I don't remember the date, but yeah. So that's so different now. But I'm
Hmm.
glad Grumpy's is saying, "Hey, we still want comedy out here, even though Ike's gone."
Yeah, indeed, it's rough, but they got to grow and evolve, or else they're gonna be stuck in the '80s. So,
That's right.
yep.
That's right.
So you're turning the theme park capital of the world into a personal playground of punchlines, and so
That's right.
there's so many material because of those. I remember hearing like Lee Cohen's, Holy Land joke when it was open. And what are some of the theme parks that you like to like joke about out there? Because there's so many.
That's not true. I have one theme park joke, but I have pretty much zero theme park jokes. But I have one theme park joke, which I don't really do much anymore. I talk about how whenever we go to theme parks, people give us a dirty looks and everything because my wife is like dragging around her little man on a leash. But you know, I said it was okay to drag me around on a leash. I don't have I don't have a lot of theme park material. I actually really love going to theme parks. We were actually out there this morning. We were out at Disney Springs doing pin trading. So that tells you my lifestyle there. No, we are absolutely Disney adults. We love going out there. It's
Awesome.
a lot of fun. And the thing is, I hate Disney. I hate them. They're really good at making money, and they're really good at taking money away.
Hmm.
When COVID happened, for those who are not Orlando people, when COVID happened, Disney made it impossible to buy an annual pass, because they just weren't selling them. And then, for those of us who still had them, you could continue to have it. But if you canceled it during COVID, like I did, you couldn't get one back, and you couldn't buy a new one. And then they raised the prices, and then they said, all right, you can buy annual passes again. And I was the first one in line to buy an annual pass right after I had been complaining about all of their evil. So yeah, I can just shove that right up my ass because I bought right into it. I love going to Disney.
Oh,
And do you ride roller coasters, by the way?
I haven't ridden one since like I lived in LA. Like I did Knott's Berry Farm, I
Magic
think.
Mountain?
Yeah, it's been I had the funny I lived in Florida for like 10 years and never
Yeah.
been to Disney World or Universal or nothing.
Well, Universal Studios has a pretty fantastic ride. I do not work for them. I hardly ever go there, but this Velocicoaster that they have is insane. Just I don't want to give anything away. It's fantastic. If you like roller coasters, go to Velocicoaster. If you don't like Universal, go to Velocicoaster. You don't like Harry Potter, go to Velocicoaster. It's great. It's worth the price of admission. It's fantastic. The end. You don't like dinosaurs? Ride Velocicoaster.
There's
If
a
you don't
band in
like
my
all those things, you're probably living a sad life because there's a lot of fun and all that stuff I just mentioned.
oh, for sure. Well, like my buddies in a band, like they play the festival in Colorado and they're called Velociriffer. So maybe I should tell them to go catch the Velocicat coaster. So Should be
That's
fun.
fun. Yeah, it
Yeah.
matches your name. Wear your band shirt while you're going on it.
Yeah. I just brought my hood. Well, my hoodie's in back home, but I left my shirt back home in Colorado. Like I stay here and in Colorado, so I'm like, living here and there. Uh, like once,
You're a
like
snowbird?
yeah, I'm a snowbird. Yep. I just stay out there for a week though. I love Florida way more because there's just so much more
Oh,
to do. Yeah, and the
I don't
air's
know.
not
I
so
hear
thin.
Colorado's pretty great.
It can be, but the air is just too thin for me. I like my lungs are just built for like you know the sea
Uh,
level. Yep, I was driving to Denver like the last time I was there. I was like coughing up a storm. I'm like, I can't handle this anymore. And I'm a native of Colorado too, so that kind of bites.
oh, are you?
Mm.
You're a Colorado Cambodian.
Yep, first generation Anchor Baby. It's like instead of Anchorman, you should make an Anchor Baby movie that he has a baby. So
Should make an Anchor Baby movie. I bet you people would watch it
big time. I could see like Ron Burgundy's kid going to
with a
journalism
mustache.
school or something. So,
Yeah, 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 for sure.
it's
Uh,
yeah.
what would bring you out here from? That's a big trip. Like people come out here from New York all the time. Florida and New York has like an underground tunnel. But what brings you out here from Colorado?
Stand up for sure because I can do a show every month, journalism, and then plus closer to family. So, and like my whole family rotates houses, so that way when we get bored with each other, we can just like swap houses. So,
Via LA, I forgot. Yeah,
oh, from California back to Colorado or back to
yeah, because
Florida?
it's all those bounces you did.
Oh yeah. Well, like my internship with Clive was the one that brought me to LA in the first place. I nailed that for like I just emailed them and then I needed to do something with my nights because like there was nothing happening at nighttime, and so I became a concert journalist. So I got paid to go to concerts. And then I had like I was building my website too, and then plus I was selling cell phones to make sure my bread and that was my bread and butter. And so like I worked everything out in place. I worked like the early shifts there, and I did concerts from 7 to 2 in the morning, and then I spent 2 days with Clive instead of like 5 days a week like I used to with my summer internship before everything happened. So, and then
You're the
after,
almost famous real life story.
yeah, I get compared to that a lot. So I love that movie so much. So
Such
instead
a
of like
good movie.
following one of my favorite bands, I follow like all of my favorite bands. It was fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Like
And
you,
then,
you just that's wonderful. Like that's one of those experiences that you're. I mean, I'm just talking for you, and I'm romancing it because I didn't do it. That's one of those things. Like, yeah, I don't care about the money. This is just something I need to do with my life. This is fantastic. I'll worry about money later.
oh yeah, for sure.
That's
And
cool.
like my journalism like thing was like they've only paid $80 a year, but all the free concerts that I put in for, I got
Wait,
accepted
$80 a year for what?
for being a journalist out in LA.
Your life? They only paid you $80 a year. How's that legal?
I
Were
know
you?
sometimes because I'm a freelance journalist, and they said,
Okay.
"Yep." So, and at times they didn't even pay me, and so I'm glad that magazine folded or the news online newspaper folded. Not to be mean, but they just forgot to pay me sometimes, and
Got
um,
to pay
and
you.
because they go because your articles aren't news are they're not juicy was the term that they used,
Right.
and I'm like, look, I'm telling you how it happened, and I'm not trying to juice it up, even though it's LA. Like, there's too many TMZs out there. Like, I'm just gonna keep it real, keep it 100, and that's why I kept on getting these shows from all these bands. I'm like, I didn't know Cypress Hill's publicist represented Alice in Chains, and then I got to cover both shows because they loved the way that I wrote. And I'm like, all right, I'm not making this juicy. I'm keeping the formula just the way it is, and I'm getting invited to sold out shows with Soundgarden and Deftones and stuff. I'm like, I'm keeping the way that I'm writing, like Lamb of God too. Like I was just covering all these bases. It was just fantastic.
Well, I'm sorry you didn't get paid properly, and it's kind of a crappy way to. But boy, those are memories you can't trade for anything.
Oh no, and I turned it into my one like some people call them one person shows, one man shows, whatever, one woman shows, and so I just call it one person shows because I don't want to you know hurt everyone's gender stuff and everything.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and so I call it one person shows, and I brought it to Orlando Fringe like I think it was like a year after the pandemic, and like when they gave us like the stimulus money, and
Yep.
so I took that stimulus money to pay for my production costs, because you have to pay the application fee and then the production costs, and
Right.
so I took all that money and I put it in that one, and I turned it into this show called Stories on Sunset, which is like my first act was my time with Clive. My second act was my time with as a concert journalist. My third act was me performing 20 minutes of stand up, and so it was just like it. Like I got mixed reviews from the Orlando Sentinel, but I made
Everybody
like
gets reviews from the Atlanta Sentinel.
they're horrible, and
I mean,
so I,
that was two fringes ago. I was in that fringe. I'm trying to think if I mean, I was in it, so it was hard for me to go to a lot of shows. But I'm trying to think. Remember Stories from Sunset. Did you did you do another one last year?
I did. Last year I did I world premiered my comedy special slash documentary slash short film at Digifringe or not Digifringe, Visual Fringe. So I
Yeah,
did Stories on Sunset the first year that I did it. Then Digifringe Visual Fringe the next year, and then the third year was just self produced outdoor shows. So I was like there three in a row. I'm like, all right, three in a row is good enough for me. I did it, the perfect trifecta. Like it's like I'm good. Like, and I got to bring the first time I did it by myself. The second time was like, I got to put Jack Napier in there, Christian Moore from Melbourne into my special because they said some cool things. It was like I had to make it 5 minutes. So I couldn't put like the whole 9 hour thing in there.
yeah,
It was crazy. And then the third year was I got to bring all my buddies like Ross McCoy and Joseph Sabella was on there, Robin Love and Saltier and Amy LaCours, Rue, and just like all these like storytellers and comedians I got to bring with me. And I'm like, all right, that completes everything that I've ever wanted to do at Fringe. So,
very
um,
cool.
yeah. But yeah, we got a viewer in the audience, so feel free to interact in the chat if you like and all that good stuff. So we'll
How do
just
you know that? How do you know there's a viewer in the audience? I don't believe you.
oh yeah, it tells me on my end. It's like
Oh, okay.
there's a clock and then there's like an eye with a number next to it. So
I
yeah,
see no viewers.
indeed. Yeah, last I interviewed Patrick Sisk and Captain John was in there and he was like interacting with us. So it was pretty fun.
Oh, that's funny.
And then
Patrick,
Danielle Mathis, like her mom interacted with it in the chat with us too, and that was a lot of fun. So
my dog's interacting in the background with barks every now and then.
yeah, damn people walking by and
She
uh,
has to protect us.
yep. Absolutely. What kind of
Patrick
dog do you have?
Patrick Sisk is on crack. I mean, he's not literally on crack. Maybe he's on crack. I don't know. I'm not judging him,
Me
but
neither.
Patrick makes me crack up every time, and I've heard his jokes 10 times at least. They make me laugh every single time. I think he still has. I'm gonna go look on my Facebook here. I think he still has his picture. I'm not wearing my glasses. Let me look here. Patrick. Yep, Patrick Sisk. At least on Facebook, his his picture that he uses of him dressed up as the elf from the movie Elf. I took that picture of him, and that was Christian in my show that he performed on. So there you go. There's my tie to Patrick. But no, he's freaking hilarious. He's great.
Oh yeah, he's one of those fastest rising headliners. Like he's like Donald Evans. They're like so naturally
Yeah,
gifted. And I'm like, I'm just here 8 years in with like 40 minutes of material that I believe in. Like I'm just coasting. But
man, I got 10 minutes, and I feel lucky to have that after 2 years. I don't think people realize how much work it takes to get stuff going, and I could be working so much harder to keep developing. But you see people out there being silly, being stupid. There are months of writing and years of perfecting going into that, and I have so much more respect for comics now that I've been doing it, and it's there's a lot of work that you're seeing go up there. There's a lot of work, a
indeed.
lot of work.
It's like I learned how to deflect the hecklers and everything. It's like your heckles bounce off me like ping pong balls.
What do you do live? Like, do you interface with the crowd, or do you just kind of ignore them? What's your method when
I tell them
people?
I tell them I agree and I keep on moving and then they don't
All right, so you
and
take
then
the power away by agreeing with them.
yep.
Okay,
Then
you
what
don't you
else?
don't you don't fight back and try to roast them or anything.
Oh no, it's like I mean my time is valuable on stage. Their
Yeah,
time is not. they're not a race against time in their seats. We are on stage, so
Yeah.
it's like you just gotta say yep, and then keep it moving, and then they be quiet, and it's like it's
I could totally see that. I've never seen anybody say anything to you on stage. I could see like someone like Salty Aaron or something. You know, I could see him talk back for sure.
yeah, indeed. And plus, like
Salty, he's
everyone's
so
like clipping them and putting them on their socials. I'm like, I don't want to be that kind of comic, you know. It's just like,
yeah.
I mean, Steve Hofstetter was like the godfather of that all, and I'm like, it's been there, done that, played out. It's like I don't really. If you want to watch my stuff, you can watch it on my YouTube. I put like 4 clips on Instagram. I'm like, that's enough for me. Like I don't want. It's just too much editing, too much captioning work, and I'm like, and that's why I don't edit my interviews. I'm just like, I'm gonna live stream it. I'm not gonna edit my podcast. Don't want to make the sound look better or anything better. I'm just like, here it is, world. Here's
We
my
prefer
first
to be
draft.
lazy and real
Yeah,
up in
exactly.
right.
Indeed. Keep it real, like a movie reel, you know?
Okay,
So,
I gotta ask you a question. You've been doing this longer than me. How do you feel like I see comics put up their material on Instagram and whatever and clips and I don't know, inside, like Rue does this all the time. Inside, and I'm like, oh, you're putting up material. Like, I'm not, if somebody's going to steal it, they're going to steal it, whatever. But it's just like you're putting up material. I don't know. Like when they come to see you, I don't know. How do you feel about putting up material up on, even if it's just a 30-second clip or even a 10-second clip? I mean, do you think that's,
um, I think it's rough because they're burning through their material, and so that's why people just upload their crowd work on material because like it's just a
sure.
burner. But like
Yeah.
people that put their material up there, I'm like, like I would not waste it on Instagram. Like if people want to watch the whole thing, they can just go to my YouTube, and which is great because like no, hardly anybody goes to my YouTube channel, and so it's like, and if they want to steal my joke, it's like, well, they can't deliver it like I can, and you can tell that they're Amy Schumering my joke, so they're totally butchering it. So I don't care anymore. So,
Oh
and
my
if you want to see the real deal Holyfield, you come to my show. So, yeah.
I see. Yeah, like Ali, Ali Flores, he does joke time on. He puts up whatever, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, um, whatever it happens to be, TikTok. He puts up joke time, and the jokes that he's putting up, they're not his original joke. Sometimes they are, but they're not his original jokes. He's just putting up silly raunchy jokes up on joke time, and I think that's great because it's not your original stuff. You
Mm-hmm.
still get to see what the kind of comic that he is, and you still get to see his personality. And I think that's smart. But it's like, well, now I'm not going to do that because he's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's a good way to go about it too. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I could see crowd work being. I mean, that's hard, especially when you're reacting live to someone. That's a tough. If you have some good crowd work to show, I think that's a good thing to have up there. But I don't know. When I see people putting up material, I'm like, they must have hours of material that are ready to go. That's what happens in my head. I don't know.
Indeed.
At the same time, if it's good, people want to come and see what else you have. So I could see that argument too. I'm too new at this. To have any of that. I can't give myself away yet.
Yeah, don't give yourself away. Tell them you gotta buy the ticket and take the ride, like Hunter S. Thompson says. So
That's right.
yeah,
Hunter S. Thompson. There you go. You're the new Hunter S. Thompson without all the mind altering substances.
exactly. I mean, I tried weed one in September for the first time since 2006, and that was like, oh, I thought I was killing at an open mic, and
Yeah.
like I was watching the video back, and I'm like, I am not killing. All these laughs were in my head.
Wait, you tried weed for the first time since 2006.
Yeah,
And
and it
how
was
much had you done it before in 2006?
just once, cause like my friends back home, they don't build my tolerance up. They
Yeah.
don't give me the bad weed; they give me the good stuff, and they're like, and I'm like inhaling off this like off a bong, and they're like, hey, this is this won third place at the Cannabis Cup. It's called Mr. Nice, and I'm like, oh well, Mr. Nice put me in a lazy boy for like 3 hours, and I
So
couldn't feel anything from my neck down.
we go from whatever you can get because nobody can find it anywhere. You have to know someone who knows somebody to now we have award winning strands
Hmm.
and categories. I don't remember categories. No, I didn't do it till I was in my mid 30s, which wasn't that long ago, and I hardly ever do it. So I have zero tolerance, zero, zero. And I did an edible for the first time a few weeks ago, just a medical edible, a little half of one, um, because I actually wanted to see if it helped me go to sleep. And by the way, it totally did. But that's so different. Have you ever eaten, again, the medical actual produced variety? I don't know what the people who make the stuff on their own, but it's very different from the smoke versions. That
I
sounds
had a,
stupid. The smoke versions.
I had a cook and went to bed, but that's about it. But
Yeah.
yeah, my buddy made it. It's recreational, like, or but he's a radio DJ out in Grand Junction. But I won't name his name. But I took him to Clive's studio once, and he was like in awe because he loves horror flicks, and he was like, "Oh my God, there's Candyman and Pinhead and all this stuff." He was in heaven, like,
Which, by the
and
way, I learned today because of you that Candyman is a Clive Barker story from Books of Blood. I didn't realize that.
yeah,
Didn't
indeed.
realize.
Yep. Instead of Chicago as a setting, it's Liverpool, and so it's and you
Bad
say his
horror.
name. You say his name three times in the book instead of five times in the movie. So there's a
Yeah.
lot. There's a lot of differences.
By the way, 5 times doesn't work. It's always three. Every comic knows that. Three. I don't know what the
And
five. Three.
and three, and like my buddy Mike Honore, he's like a Louisiana based comic. He wrote a Candyman joke, and it's so hilarious. I gotta send it to you, and it's just one of the best Candyman jokes I've ever heard in my life. It's so I'll put send Jason Mike's Candyman joke, and it's from his album um Splendid Afternoon, and it's like one of the best albums you'll hear. It's on Spotify and YouTube, but
Yeah.
like this one Candyman joke is just chef's kiss. It's pretty awesome.
Is this a newer album?
No, it's pretty old, but we're all locals, and so it doesn't get like the shine it deserves. But
Sure.
like, I don't listen to a lot of albums, but this is right up there with like some of the best stuff. So
Nobody listens to albums anymore. That was the only way we could consume comedy in the 90s,
mhm.
was through, listening to CDs and stuff. And I don't like, it's the same with music, but I'm just talking about stand up. Like, I used to have everyone I'm going to name is going to sound like I'm a horrible person because, but anyway, like Louis C.K. albums, Aziz Ansari and, Dice in the 80s and Eddie Murphy albums. Like that was how I consumed comedy. Um, I don't know. I don't know now. Greg Giraldo. I don't know now. Patton Oswalt. I don't know how I forgot that. Patton Oswalt. I love Patton Oswalt. But I don't know now. Like how do people consume comedy? Is it all clips?
Clips, because like everyone has like a short attention span, um, and like seeing it live is awesome too. But
Yeah,
it's just
but that's expensive.
unless you like do the $5 shows, and like my
Sure.
festival's free, so you can just go in there and just like watch free comedy and listen to free music. And I figured since I was so blessed out in LA to like not have to pay for a concert, like I wanted to do the same thing for like my people. It's like pay it
Yeah.
forward, discover new music, discover new comedians. It's like network, get yourself booked on their shows. It's like and it's like a camp for like us comics, and like musicians. It's like it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I get. Yeah. Well, I guess more like what I'm talking about is more like the international touring type comedians. I don't think you're going to see Chris Rock doing clips on Instagram or TikTok. Maybe
True.
he is. I don't know.
Yeah. And those are like the special ones that you got to go see live. Like, like
Right.
Dave Chappelle's coming to Amway here, and it's
Yes.
gonna be pretty rad. And
Yeah, and
two
that's super expensive, by the way. I'm not going.
oh, it's like I got there's like nosebleeds that are like $60 that I saw, so I
Right.
was like, it's. But then the ticket master fees are just outrageous, and I'm like, and see that's why like I chose to be a concert journalist so I can avoid the cost of
Yeah,
tickets
yeah,
and the fees. It's
right.
like it worked out in my favor for like 3 years. Like in 3 years, I covered 150 shows. It was just like a lot of concerts.
Dude, that's great.
Yeah.
So what did you? So when you were doing that, what did you do to actually like make money to pay bills? Because I mean, LA's not cheap. I don't care if you live in a freaking van with roommates. What did you do to cover bills?
I worked at a cell phone shop, and so they were unionized, and they paid commission and a base pay, and like my numbers were so bad that they transferred me 3 times, and like they demoted me, and but they kept my commission check the
Yeah,
same. I was like, hell yeah, this is the way to go, and so I just kept on signing people in, kept on getting commission off that. So I was like, all right, and I put in
work.
my 2 weeks too, and one time. And they're like, Sreth, the whole staff loves you, we're gonna keep you for another 2 months, and I'm like, oh crap. So but
Were you trying to get fired?
yeah, I mean, well, I wasn't trying to get fired. I'm like, I'm not a salesman, and so my
Yeah,
manager told me like, look, Strath, I know that you're not a good salesman. Like, you can't send a fireman to do a policeman's job. And like, he just like went all in. And but he was a cool manager. But I'm like, again, I'm like, I'm not a salesman. I don't know how to lie to people. I don't know how to sell snake oil. I'm just
yeah.
gonna be honest with people. It's just the way that I am.
What
But
kind of lying do
now,
you need to do with a cell phone? What are my minutes? Or do you lie like what's the reception? The reception's great everywhere. What kind of lies do you have to tell on the cell phone?
so many because you're trying to upsell everything. Like, all right, they're activating a phone, so you got to bring 3 accessories to the table and tell them you need a
Uh,
case, you need a charger, you need all this other stuff. You need a Bluetooth, you need a Bluetooth speaker. So every time you go to a cell phone shop, they bring 3 accessories with them, and then they try to upsell you with features like unlimited
that's where
data,
the profit
unlimited
is.
minutes. Yep, and so
It's
that
like a
commission.
finance room at a car dealership.
Exactly.
Right,
So
right.
those are the ins and outs, and I'm like, and then like when they had like cable services, I mean, they
Insurance.
still do have cable services. Like
Yeah.
if you get like their internet, phone, and cable bundled, you get like a great commission. And I'm like, I just can't lie to these people. Like
Yeah.
I'm such a horrible salesman. So, and then I told Clive like, I don't want you to pay me. I want you to pay me like with money. I don't want you to do that. I want you to pay me with knowledge because like knowledge will last me longer than money. And so, but he
Well,
did
you're
offer
making
me.
girl. They could have paid you in pizza.
Oh, he did pay me in a lot of food. Like he the Sunset Deli was like my favorite restaurant, and so is the Rainbow Bar and Grill, where like Lemmy has his own statue there and everything. And it's
Yeah.
like it's so heavens. I would eat there with his card, like he would pay for all my meals. And so like I'd bring him back like some Italian food or some pizza too. And it was like it was and they had all I went there so much that they knew what my favorite drink was, which is an Arnold Palmer, and like right away they would just bring it without me asking. It was just like it was heaven.
You like iced tea and lemonade.
Oh yeah, big time. I figured since I don't drink alcohol, it's like my next favorite drink. It's like, oh yeah, it's just a regular Long Island iced tea without the alcohol. It's,
Right. Well,
yep,
that's and a Long Island iced tea without the alcohol is just sour mix.
yep, sour mix for sure. And then plus I spice things up with cranberry and club soda too. So
Nice.
so we've covered your stand up comedy and your improv skills, and then you also write and direct. And so
Yep.
what have you written and directed?
Most recently, I was in the Orlando Fringe Festival last year. I wrote and directed and starred in the Bloody Hatchet, which was it was venueless. It was outside, and it was a show about these three ladies who had grown up. It was kind of like a boogeyman kind of a story. These three ladies who had grown up in high school. They had seen a friend of theirs get taken away, kind of like Bloody Mary, where you say the name 3 times, or Candyman, or whatever. And their friend got taken away, and nobody spoke about it. They thought the friend was dead, and they come back as adults to kind of reunite, and they do the whole game again, and Bloody Hatchet comes for them. And the catch at the end is it ends up being the kid they thought was killed when they were younger, which was the part that I played. So I wrote and directed that along with Nathan Felix, who is a super talented composer out of New York. It was originally supposed to be a musical. It ended up staying a spoken word kind of a thing. It was a little Phantom of the Opera-ish at times. It wasn't gory or anything like that, but yeah, boy, and let me tell you, it's hard to put on a show when you have like when you're working full time and get out there and handle all the fringe stuff at the same time too. But yeah, that's the last thing that I wrote and directed and starred in. But I continue to write now. Stand-up material. I'm also writing, trying to write some sketch material. I was inspired by actually Amy LaCours and Rue and Danielle Mathis and I were all together at a kind of a little writing workshop. We did. Oh, we all live like within a mile of each other. We did a little writing workshop, just kind of all of us together. And so I've been getting down, doing a little bit more writing there too, and we'll see what comes out of that. But something will.
Indeed, for sure.
And Christian Miles and I produced some shows early this year, the first part of this year, which we both kind of wrote, and so yeah, lots of writing, always writing.
For sure, always a fun time writing.
Yeah,
And yeah, I remember the Bloody Hatchet, because like our shows were like happening at the same time, or like
yes,
they were early, and I would see you at the Fringe, and I'm
yeah.
like, gosh dang it, if our schedules didn't clash, I totally would have been a part of. We both been part of each other's shows.
That's the hard part about being involved in the shows. It's really hard to go and see everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, big time. But I'm
Yeah.
glad both of our shows were successful. So
Yeah, it was. It was good. Well, good for you too. Are you going to do Fringe again? I know you said that maybe not. Like you were kind of alluding to maybe not.
maybe not. Yeah, definitely not anymore. I mean, I did like my 3 year stint. It
Yeah.
was just like I'm happy the way that it began and ended, and now it's time for everyone else to get their shine on. And all I wanted was to like bring my buddies on like at least one time, and I got to do that. So and for them, for this Fringe to like give us a stipend for both shows was just like
Yeah.
beautiful. So. eh, and we rarely get paid as comics, as is, or any kind of art form. So just to like share the wealth was like, this is much better than what I made on my one man show that I did. I mean, I
Yeah.
made a lot of money on my one man show, and I was like, but it just felt lonely at the top. Like I didn't want to ever get that feeling anymore. So, yeah.
No, I remember seeing a lot of the scene coming out, running around Fringe last year or this year, but the last Fringe, and they were all there to take part in your show. But it was really nice to see because the Orlando Fringe Festival, you see a lot of people from like theater background and musical theater and music. And I don't know that I've ever seen. I've been in and out of Fringe since it was like in downtown Orlando, and I don't remember seeing as many comics involved as lately, where I've seen a little bit more of that come in. So I think that's great, and everybody was there to work with you this Fringe, which was really cool.
Yeah, which I mean, now that you said that, I'm like, oh, maybe I should do it again. But I'm like, it's just too much. Like driving on I-4 drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Like, and like organizing everything drove me nuts. And I'm like, I'm glad that like the way everything turned out, which is it
Did you
was
have to come out here like every day?
yeah, every day. Yep.
That's
I mean, the drive wasn't bad. I'm so used to it now. It's like,
It's 20 minutes for me to get out to Lock Haven Park area, and that was a pain in the butt. And you're having to drive an hour and a half.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Well, good for
especially
you.
if you especially if I don't cuss on stage, so I just cuss on the way to the shows, and so all
Yeah.
my cuss words just come out, and so I'm like "f you driver" and
Yeah.
everything like that. So that's why I don't cuss on stage. I get it all out of my system by the time I get to
Yeah.
the venue.
I didn't think my wife ever said curse words until I went in the car with her for the first time.
Yeah.
I started blushing.
Good
Her
stuff.
Ohio comes out. Her Northeastern Ohio comes out when she's on the road. It's fantastic. I love it. Like
Good
I think
stuff.
she would actually get out of the car and start punching people in the face if it came to it. So I like that kind of excitement in the bedroom.
So Speaking of being on the road,
Yeah,
you're embarking on a quest to find the best pizza slice that rivals the magic of
that's
Orlando
right.
pizza. So,
No,
did you?
I'm not saying Orlando pizza is great. There are some places that are good, but most of my family's from New York, and I am determined that there will be good pizza. There's some good pizza. There's a little place right next to SAC Comedy Lab. Whenever I was doing stuff at SAC, I would go there. The air conditioning never works. I don't remember the name of it, so I'm a terrible plug. I don't even know anybody there, but their pizza's actually pretty good. It was pretty good. I was pretty impressed with their pizza. But my favorite pizza now it's called Gino's or whatever. I forget what it was called before. Where like after you'd be out at the clubs, you'd stand in a line for at like 3 o'clock in the morning. You'd stand in line. It'd take you an hour to get a slice of pizza, and they give you a slice of pizza, and they put the little knot, the little garlic knot on top of it for you. And maybe it was just because it was 3 o'clock in the morning, but that's my favorite downtown Orlando hanging out when I go out, to Tanqueray's and hang out down there. Even though they didn't smoke down there anymore, you still got the secondhand smoke from the smoking that they did 10 years ago. That was my favorite pizza. But
Ah,
the place next to SAC, pretty good. Recommend it. The fresh one.
ah, well, I'll have to go take a look at those places now because I looking like a ninja turtle. I love my pizza.
That's
So,
that's what I'm saying. They could have paid you in pizza.
absolutely, it would have been the bee's knees. But like when you said talking about 3 a.m. pizzas, like when I lived in LA, like they had like these vendors, these food vendors outside the
Yeah.
concert venues, and they would make like bacon wrapped hot dogs. And when I ate pork, that was like the jam. Like they had grilled onions and bell peppers, and they just all you can just have those, and it's like you didn't need any like ketchup or mustard or nothing. It was just perfect, just the way it was, like bacon wrapped hot dogs with bell peppers and onions on top. It was like pretty delicious.
My brother lives in Hollywood, and he's in the film business out there. We went to go visit him. Actually, it's been too long. I haven't seen my brother there in a really long time. But it was burritos. Everywhere was like everywhere in LA was competing for the best burrito. Every little hole in the wall place was all burrito and hamburgers. Burritos and hamburgers is everything I saw in LA. Did you have the same
Dang.
experience?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like people call them food trucks out here and stuff. But like when
Yeah.
I lived in LA, they called them roach coaches.
Okay. That
So
makes
they
sense.
would there'd be like so many like food trucks everywhere, and I'm like, there's so many options. So like the best places to get like a burrito is at those roach coaches. To be
Yeah.
honest with you.
Yeah. I gotta go back. I gotta go see my brother. Uh, he's he's doing a lot of really cool stuff when it comes to he makes independent film. Oh, you know what? Can I plug one of our sites? So I think it's Overkill Film is the name of the website. We did my by the way, my brother did all of it. I came up with the basic idea. I think it's overkillfilm.com. Yeah. Overkillfilm.com. We don't make any money off of this, but go watch it. Overkill.
Okay.
It's a short. It's a kind of a comedic horror short. So I recommend going to watch it. Overkillfilm.com.
Well, I'll
Very
be
proud of
sure
it.
to. I'll watch that after the interview for sure, and I'll tell you what I think about it for sure.
All
I
right.
won't write a
It's
review
campy.
article.
Yeah.
For sure. So you turn your ordinary day into a side-splitting adventure, one misdirection at a time, and I love
Correct.
that tagline of for your stand-up. That's awesome. So yeah, and I love like that you mentioned that people snort in your during your sets and stuff, and I love when people have like their body reacts other differently than a laugh when it comes to stand-up. It's like when people say like I don't know, when they're grossed out like by my set, it's like, heck yeah, I triggered something that wasn't there before.
Well, have you found that you can say the exact same thing, you can say the exact same words, and you throw in a little bit of a different body motion or something, and suddenly like it's killing. And then the week before, you said the exact same stuff, silence,
Yeah.
silence.
It depends on the room for sure.
Yeah.
Like oh man. And so that's why like I watch every single comic go up, and like I can adjust my sets like, all right, this is a mostly clean crowd, or this is a mostly dirty crowd. And so and if it's a mix, you can start off clean and get them to love you, and then scare them with the dirty stuff. So
Yep.
yeah,
I agree.
indeed. For sure. And so
I will still have some R-rated material. I will still do that. I'm going to try my hand at PG material. PG-13 late night material. That's the better word for it, right? Stuff you can
abs-
do on late night TV. That's my next goal. You said you
indeed.
have about 10 minutes. You only need 5 or 6.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Indeed. And a lot of that clean stuff is topical, and I don't like doing topical because like it's not me, but
And
I
also
love,
you have to keep writing it.
yeah, true, stay on top of things. And I'm like, I'd much rather go off real life experiences and
Yeah.
be like, and have people come to me after the show and be like, hey, I went through the same thing. That's much more better than, topical. People can just come up with it on uh, like for like a monologue on late night or something. But so
That's,
for this
that's
interview, we're raising funds for a Better Life Pet Rescue. So why did you pick a Better Life Pet Rescue?
So, A Better Life Pet Rescue, which you can look up, it's an Orlando organization. I'm not sure if it was founded by Jody. Jody Chase, who is Orlando royalty, she's been involved with almost everything here in Orlando when it comes to entertainment. She was one of the people that would perform at Hollywood Studios at the time, MGM Studios, also with the Citizens of Hollywood, and she's been involved in the comedy scene, the improv scene here. Like I said, she's Orlando royalty. Both she and her husband too. But she, I think, founded. Either way, she took it over. The Orlando, the A Better Life Pet Rescue. The dog that you heard barking, unless the mics somehow filtered it out, Penny. She's from the pet rescue. We have fostered many animals from the pet rescue. There are always cats. There are definitely some dogs. There were always cats that need homes. It's all there's not a lot of money behind it. It's all volunteers just working really hard. We do the bare minimum. If somebody goes on vacation and they're like, "Hey, we need somebody to watch this dog or watch this cat," like we'll say, "Hey, we'll do that for the weekend." That is bare minimum. But yeah, I'm my wife and I we are softies for animals, and there's just so many of them that need really good homes. People will dump a dog because it has like a skin condition that could be solved with changing the dog's diet, things like that. So having an animal is a responsibility. We don't have kids, but we have animals, and A Better Life Pet Rescue is one of many. It doesn't have to be that one. Like support something. I'm not saying don't. If you find a responsible breeder and you want certain breeds and all that, it's not my favorite thing in the world. But a life is a life. But pet rescues like that are just doing a really good thing. So yeah, A Better Life Pet Rescue is absolutely what I'm throwing out there. That is another passion of ours.
Indeed, for sure.
Yeah. Do you have pets?
Absolutely.
I
I
feel
don't
like
have any pets myself.
yeah.
I don't. I mean, like it's not because I'm Asian, but it's like because
I didn't say
I
anything
joke about
about that. Wait, what does that have to do with it? I
I
know
joke,
Asian people with pets.
you know, but it's like I joke about it on stage, like because Asians don't get along with cats and dogs and stuff, and so like I joke
I'll have you
about
know,
it.
my friend Ken, who is of Chinese descent, has like 4 cats. I don't know, but they have a lot of cats, and they are all alive.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good. I mean, I love. Don't get me wrong. I love dogs and cats, but I just move around a lot, and I
right.
can't, and it's just like if I'm when I'm older, I'll probably get like a little pup or something. But now it's just like I'm just moving around way too much to
They
like
they
give my
ground
full
you.
attention.
They
Yeah,
definitely ground you. You have to have somebody to take care of them for sure.
indeed. And if
And
anything, like I'd love to go like to like a rescue or something, and just like sit and kick it with the dogs and hang out with them and get mauled by the puppies or something.
right.
Like that's like my jam. Like It's like, yeah, it's like spending time with the animals is like my favorite thing. Like there's a dog that's at the nog all the time and named Daisy, and she's like the cutest pup. And I try to play fetch with it, but it won't give me the ball, and so I'm like, you know what? We'll play tug of war instead. So
Yeah.
it's like,
So you throw the ball, it doesn't go get it, or it goes and sits with the ball and doesn't bring it back.
well, it brings it back to you, but it won't let go, and it has like a kung fu grip on it, and I'm like, this is not how fetch works. So yeah.
And a ball is not
But
an easy thing to play tug with.
no way. And plus it's a pit bull mix, and I don't want my hands to get caught up in the jaws or
Right, right, right.
nothing. So I'm like, yeah, just drop it. If it's like a golden retriever, sure, or something easy, or but
Yeah.
I love all dogs of breeds except for like small ones are just mean to me for some reason. So I'm just like the tiny ones.
Look, we
You have a
have we
tiny.
have three relatively small dogs, and I would say in general, yeah, smaller dogs. Actually, statistically, smaller dogs, like we have a Chihuahua mix. I had a Chihuahua before. I love Chihuahuas, but they tend to be more aggressive than towards people. They tend to be more aggressive than like pits or Dobermans or anything like that.
Yep. I'm a medium-sized dog kind of fan, and because their poops aren't that as big as Great Danes
That,
and Saint Bernards.
that's a solid point. That's
Yep.
true.
For
Yeah, they'll
sure.
fill up your trash can in a week for sure.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
Raj. So, and Jason, this is like the next portion of like Act Two, if you will, of the
Let's do
stand-up
it. Act
speakeasy.
two. Hold on.
Yeah.
Act two. Let's do this.
Act Two. So this is like the usual questions they ask all the comics. So with that being said, we talked about a little bit earlier, but if people are just watching it now, what inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
Okay, so the reason I got into stand-up comedy is because it looked really difficult, and I think I was in a kind of a comfort zone slash um, just kind of like just I was just kind of stagnant. I needed something new, and apparently I hate myself. So I wanted to to start some. I wanted to get into something where it was going to be difficult, and I wanted to conquer a new form of entertainment. I can't say that I have conquered it, and I can't say that I'm good at it yet. But it's something that I don't know. I got the bug, and I really enjoy it now. But yeah. By the way, you're frozen. I don't know if you're just frozen to me. I'm gonna keep going. Oh,
Yeah.
you're. Oh, there's two of you. Oh, now there's just one of you again.
Oh yeah. It froze up on me. So yeah.
Okay.
So what inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
It's funny because I just answered. I'm gonna answer it again. I wanted to. I was getting kind of stagnant in what I was doing, and I wanted to try something new. And at the time, I was going through the SAC development program, and I saw the stand-up class, which was looked to me the way it was described, kind of more of a writing class. I was like, all right, let me see if I can, because I didn't necessarily care about the stand-up portion. I didn't want to be a stand-up comic. I wanted to go through the stand-up writing because I'm more interested in like sketch and things like that. Okay, let me try that. And I got in, met Ali, who of course I knew. I said this before. I had mutual friends with, so he and I became friends immediately. Um, did that whole thing. Got into open mics. I was failing at stuff on stage, which for me was fabulous because I'm used to. I mean, I I've been in my whole family's in the entertainment business. I'm comfortable doing well on stage, and I was not doing well at stand up. Nobody does well at open mics, and that to me was like it was wonderful just to have that challenge. You really have to work for this. Like it's not your friends coming to these shows. Like these are real people that you're not gonna. So that alone, that's what kind of got me in. When I can make people who don't know me laugh and legitimately have a good time. When I get those applause breaks by people who don't know me, boy, that's it's so much better than doing a theatrical show, scripted theatrical show where where everybody's going to clap, where everybody's, because you have confidence in the script and the performance that's rehearsed, which by the way, I love that too. But boy, I don't know. Doing that first show is what hooked me in. So I think I will always do some version of stand up at some point, no matter what. Um, I don't know if I'll ever become good or known for stand up, but it will always be part of my toolbox for sure. It will always be a tool I use. It's great. I love it.
I love it too, for sure. And what was the feeling like when you first performed stand up?
What was what like?
The feeling like when you first performed stand up?
Well, the first time I performed was for a really friendly room because the first time I actually did a showcase was my level one grad show at SAC. Um, and, everybody in the audience knows someone else that's about to be on stage. 9 out of 10 of us, maybe 8 out of 10 of us, whatever, we're not going to do anything with this after we left that room. So everybody in there was there to laugh at everybody because they were excited about their friend, kid, brother, sister, whatever. So super friendly room, and everybody was just rolling on the floor no matter what you said. So that was a super positive experience. It wasn't until I did time at the I forget what it's called. I don't know what it's called now. The Fat Fish Blue stage in front of people was I remember that being one of the first times I got legitimate laughs from people that I didn't know. That's where it really hooked me in. When I can make people laugh that don't owe it to me because they're my friends.
And
That's when you earn it legitimately.
it's definitely a good feeling when you earn it, for sure. And if you can, if we talked about record albums earlier, like Andrew Dice Clay and Louie and everything,
Yeah.
what are some of your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
Comic specials. I so when I was a little kid, my cousin, who's a couple years older than me, my cousin would show me the Eddie Murphy specials, Eddie Murphy Raw and Eddie Murphy Delirious, and we kind of would sneak those, the VHS tapes up to watch them, and that's kind of like the first stand up I kind of got exposed to. So I have that has a special place for me. Again, even though I know some of the material is problematic, I'm not saying it's not, but that's some of the initial stuff I had, and then when I started getting into my own, again, this is all people trading tapes and CDs, Andrew Dice Clay, but then I don't know, Greg Giraldo, do you know who that is? Like he was really involved early on when Comedy Central started doing the roasts. He was in them a lot. He unfortunately committed suicide, which actually I'll touch on that in a second too. But he was a lot for me. I really like his form of humor, and George Carlin started going backwards. But I would say my favorite comedy special ever was Robert Schimmel's comedy special on HBO, because I think that was just the writing and the performance. That's probably the most influential. That's what made me start thinking maybe I want to do this. Was listening to Robert Schimmel, because he didn't sound like everybody else. I think when you go back now, I think a lot of people have adapted some of his, even myself, his transitions, for example. He'll be talking about something and then boom, into the next thing. That's something that has absolutely influenced me. I really love the way he talks about his family, something I do. Well, he's no longer with us either, but he had cancer. This guy had cancer and survived cancer, left his wife, or they got divorced. He gets together with basically his daughter's friend. They get married. The guy ends up having a car accident. That's how he dies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But yeah, Robert Schimmel, Bob Schimmel, also his record albums. But yeah, his comedy specials is one of my favorites as far as comedy specials on TV.
Indeed. And some of those guys like Carlin and Murphy and stuff, they've been on TV and film. And I want to know what your favorite sketch shows, sitcoms, and comedy films are.
Sketch shows, I don't know. Well, Saturday Night Live. My mom used to watch Saturday Night Live, and we used to watch that when I was a kid. I was probably too young to watch it, but we watched it anyway. I still to this day watch Saturday Night Live. I know it's not always good, but I like watching the process because there's some really good people that come out of that show still, and they will continue to. It's just a great breeding ground for writing. Even people that you don't ever see on in front of the camera come out, like Conan O'Brien. You know, people like you see people that come out of the writing, come out of the writers' room basically, and go on to do great things. So I still appreciate Saturday Night Live, but I used to watch The State, which was on. I don't remember what network it was on. The State. It was all the people who ended up doing Reno 911. They originally were on a show called The State. And that show was really funny. I really liked that. And Kids in the Hall. It was around the same time of Kids in the Hall. So I'd say like sketch shows, like Mad TV. But I would say The State and Kids in the Hall was my favorite when it came to like sketch. And I went to see Kids in the Hall 5 or 6 years ago when they came to Orlando. They were at the Hard Rock Live, and that was really fun.
Awesome. Yeah, The State was on.
They released it recently. They have new episodes.
Oh wow, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, The State was on MTV. I remember.
MTV, that's it. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Now it's just
yeah. That's just ridiculousness 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What was the doctor show that they filmed? Children. Oh, I lost you. Well, hey everybody, it's just me, Jason. You and I can just talk here live because Sareth is gone. So, being that it's just me, I'm not going to ask myself any questions. I'm just going to wait for Sareth to come back because he needs to ask me questions because this is an interview of me. And right now I'm just doing this thing called a monologue. I don't have anything prepared. But what I will say is this piece of art right here, we're very proud of this piece of art. We didn't make it. We got it at a Pride festival at Lake Eola about, I would say maybe 10 years ago, maybe less than that. But there were 2 of them, and we had to bid on them. And we bid on this one. We also bid on the other one. And somebody else bought the other one, but apparently didn't bid on this one. And I'm pissed to this day. I want both of them. The other flamingo was facing the other direction. But then maybe I would have needed another little pillar in the house. So there's that. I don't know. These are things I think about. Here's another thing I think about. I definitely, when I'm at work, should not have my door open when I'm doing video calls. Because then you would see that. And that's not good. Oh, Sareth. He's chatting with me on Facebook. Okay. I will tell you what he's saying. Let's see. Sareth, let's see. It keeps freezing. I'll log in with my phone. I'm going to say I'm keeping everyone entertained talking about the flamingo. Anyway, I don't know if there's anybody there. If you are, feel free to chat. Although I don't think I could see it because I think only Sareth can see it. But we'll see if he joins. Anyway, so yeah. We got that at the Orlando Pride a couple of years ago. That's another thing that's important to us. Neither one of us are in the LGBTQ plus community. However, something that is very important to us. My wife recently started volunteering for the center in Orlando, which I'm super proud of her. She's awesome. And I also want to call out that I think it's fantastic that Gregory Metz really puts out some great support for the LGBTQ plus community when it comes to comedy and representation. Because guess what? We all need representation, and that's the way it is. All right. I don't know if I have anything else to say. What else can I tell people about Bobby?
I don't know your dog, Penny.
My dog Penny. All right, let's talk about a better life pet rescue. So, Better Life Pet Rescue. Penny was, oh, I'm calling her name. Penny. Penny, come. Penny was a dog. Well, she's still a dog. Penny was a dog that was left. There she is. Come here, Penny. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Come here. Penny was a dog that was kind of left in front of the Orange County shelter. Come here. And here she is. She's absolutely wonderful. She was left. She looks really scared. She was left in front of the rescue, and a Better Life Pet Rescue was there for other reasons. They were dropping off or picking up some other animals or something, and somebody had gone to drop her off because she was sick. She was just kind of pukey or whatever, and she had a bad stomach, and she wasn't doing well, and she was a little puppy, and they just didn't want her. They wanted to get rid of her. They didn't want to have to work with her. And they picked her up, and they needed someone to foster. So Jody Chase, local Orlando celebrity, like I said, she called me up and said, hey, can you foster this dog? And we were coming home from Fringe Festival, went and go pick her up just to foster her. We had just had a dog pass away. And I will say that other than my wife, that lady has made a bigger difference in my life in the past two plus years than any other living thing on this planet. She's awesome. Love that dog. She's hilarious. And by the way, she's the only one that laughs at my comedy in this house. My wife doesn't think I'm funny. Am I funny?
Yes.
She doesn't laugh. She's lying. She doesn't laugh at anything I say. You don't laugh at my jokes.
I laugh at your beautiful face.
She laughs at my beautiful face. Wait, that's not funny.
Or is it?
Anyway, she doesn't laugh at my jokes at all, probably because she's heard them 100 times. But that's the way it is. Let's see. Is Sareth responding now? No, he's not. Are you joining us? All right, I want to talk about some problematic comics. That's what I'm going to bring up now. So, Aziz Ansari. I really like Aziz Ansari. I understand that there are some things that have happened. I also really like Louis C.K. And I'm talking about his writing, his performance, and before he was known to be a huge creep, all the talent that was out there that he put out. And I'm going to talk to Sareth about this as well, but I don't know how to reconcile that because I still think, I'm not sure about Aziz Ansari being as much of a creep as everybody thinks he is. I'm not really sure of that situation, but Louis C.K. came out. He's like, yeah, this happened. That's what I did. And I don't know. I just think he's a really talented writer, really talented comic. Does he deserve another chance? He's getting another thing out there. Like, stuff is getting put out there. I don't know. I don't know how to reconcile that. I think he's really funny. Dave Chappelle, people are hating on him right now. I don't agree with some of the stuff he says either. Absolutely. I'm, like I said, I'm a huge proponent of all walks of life and everything. Does that make him less of a talented comic? No. You don't have to like what everybody says. I don't like some of the things he says. I still think some of the things he says are great. I don't know. And if you're all saying anything, I can't see it. All right, what else can I talk about? Let's talk about things in my office. I'm a big UCF fan. All right, so a lot of you probably know this. Danielle Mathis was in the Nitro costume for a few years at UCF. And when I first met her, I was totally geeking out because she was Nitro. More than her being an extremely talented comic in the Orlando area, I totally geeked out just because she was Nitro. I still geek out seeing her in person. Like, we're legitimately friends, and I still geek out just because of the UCF thing. Throwing that out there. And for those of you that didn't know, she says it in her act, so I'm not giving anything away. There you go. Oh my gosh, you joined right at the right time. I just ran out of stuff to say.
Indeed. I got to figure out the camera situation.
Well, for anybody that's curious, that's Sareth's biggest fan in the screen right now. Oh,
Okay.
now it's his biggest hand. Oh, there's two of you.
I think
Oh, there you
that
are.
works. Good stuff. Well, thanks for keeping everyone entertained.
Yeah. Oh, I'm hearing feedback.
Cool. That's much better.
There you go.
Awesome. So, thanks for doing that. It was just like, what the hell's going on with my laptop? It's freaking out
Wait,
over here.
did you hear what I was talking about?
No, it just caught like like some of the last part, but
Oh, okay. I talked about the history behind this. I talked a little bit about my UCF helmet and Danielle Mathis, and I talked about some controversial comics. And then I was like, I don't know what else to talk about, and boom, there you are.
good stuff. And that was just pure ridiculousness from Indeed. So, Jason, with that, and what are your your favorite comedy films?
Oh, films. So when you say comedy films, are you saying just movies that are comedies or movies that are led by like stand-up comics?
Both, because sometimes it crosses over.
Yeah. My number one favorite comedy movie, and I know it's stupid, is Dumb and Dumber.
Excellent.
It's
That's
terrible.
one of my favorites too.
It's a bad movie, and I love it.
100%.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
I
And I still quote it to this day, so
Yeah.
it's just good stuff. And then, where do you, if you can go on tour with any comedian, international, local, and internationally known, which comedians would you have to go on tour with?
Internationally known, I think because of the music aspect. I didn't even get into this. Music is like my main thing. I would say like Bo Burnham or maybe Tenacious D, which I totally consider Tenacious D comedy more than music. So, but I would love to tour with one or both of them. And I've even been considering bringing music into my act without it being, copying like what other people are doing. Locally, I would say, and this is such a cop out because I think she said it about me. Maybe, I don't know. Patrick, Sis, Christian Miles, Amy, the Rue, like those are my peeps. Like that's I would that's as far as locally, those are the people that I want near me. Absar is wonderful. Absar Siddiqui, he's a great guy, and of course Ali. I can't not. I'm not at the level. I'm not at that level. So, but if we're talking about a dream world, that's too many to name. There you go.
Absolutely, good stuff. I love Tenacious D's like their HBO show when they had it on. It's awesome.
The karate video is fantastic.
Indeed. And like they toned it down for the Pick of Destiny, but where like it stemmed from. So there was a lot of chaos in those HBO days.
Yeah, the Pick of Destiny is okay. If that's the only thing like you have, if that's your only exposure to Tenacious D, it's like just go get their first album and listen to it. You don't even have to watch them. It's so visual and it takes you into another world. It's great. Love it.
and their concerts are amazing too.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely recommend. They, I saw them at the Wiltern in LA, and I covered them, and their set piece was like a phoenix in the background, but then the phoenix turned into like a pecker, and then it just got shot confetti from it. It's like, this is so awesome.
Because of course it is. And they're legit like fans of like metal and like bringing people into their movies and stuff. Oh, it's great. Like I love everything they represent. Stand up, metal, sketch, like all of that. I know it's not just Jack Black.
Kyle Gass is
Yeah, I know it's not just Jack Black. He gets all of the FaceTime, more than KG does, but yeah, they're great. They're a lot of fun.
for sure. And I just remember Kyle because I went to this thing called NAM. It's like National Association of Music Merchants in Anaheim. He did a bunch of like signings there for us. It was pretty awesome.
That's awesome. That's great.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And so, where do you see if you can get roasted by 5 comedians, top 5 dead or alive, which comedians would you have to get roasted by?
Roasted. Well, so a comic that I discovered through like Comedy Central roasts, that I still kind of follow, although I don't see as much stuff from lately. Anthony Jeselnik was probably one of my favorites. He there's misdirection for you. That's I definitely study him. Anthony Jeselnik, he's very dry. I'm not dry at all. He's very deadpan. I would love to be roasted by Anthony Jeselnik. I feel like just his writing is excellent. It's yeah, so that's one. I know everybody's hating on her right now. Amy Schumer, I always loved watching in the roast as well. She's very goofy, and her personality. I'm not excusing like stealing material. That's wrong no matter what. But I'll tell you, sometimes some people do material better than others, and I will take her performance in some areas. I still love Amy Schumer. Again, I know that stealing is still wrong. I get that. Jeff Ross, of course. I feel like that's just a given answer. Let me think. Let me go back before like roasts were on TV. Oh, Greg Giraldo, for sure. Gilbert Gottfried. I think Gilbert Gottfried, it would be an honor for Gilbert Gottfried to know enough about me to roast me.
Indeed. Excellent choices.
Thank
for
you.
sure. Yep. And where do you see your comedy during the next 5 years?
Hopefully a lot better than it is now. That's where in 5 years, I hope I've learned my voice more. I think I'm starting to maybe see where that is. But I hope in 5 years I have a solid voice. I hope I have the confidence to be presenting on stage what I really want to be talking about. In any performance I do, I want to talk about stuff that I really care about. Even if it's comedy, I want to talk about things that I actually care about. I think Patton Oswalt goes up and he really talks about things that influence him in his life. He talks about dorky stuff, nerdy stuff, but he also talks about some heavy stuff. And he talks about politics, but he does it in a way that, well, nowadays everybody's so divided, but he used to do it. People used to be a little different. He does it in a way that you could still make fun of yourself and enjoy that. But he talks about things that he really cares about. So Patton, in the way that Patton Oswalt does it, I want to talk about things that actually matter to me. So I hope I'm doing that in the next 5 years. And I really have learned what my voice is. And I don't know. In that time, it'll be like 7 years that I've been doing comedy. Maybe by then, that's probably about right. So that's where I should be anyway, right?
Indeed, for sure. And the next question, you've done most of these things. You've done writing, directing, stand-up, and improv. So would you like to ever do sketch?
Yes. Already starting working on that now. Like I already know sketch as far as like performance. That's something that I've done. not professionally yet, but that's something I've absolutely done. But as far as writing for sketch, that's where I want to get a little bit stronger. And I would love to. There's a group that actually Ali Flores is in with some other really good friends of mine that I would love to maybe guest spot in. I've already talked to them a little bit about that as well. It's called Gaggle Reflex is the name of the group, and they perform in Winter Garden. So that might actually end up being my first opportunity to do some sketch. But it's one of those things where if you're going to be part of this, you've got to bring material, because they're doing it every month. That's a lot of material that you have to write for a show every single month. There's a lot of writing there. It's got to be different. Comics, you go out, you do the same thing for 5 years. You're working on the same 10 minutes, half an hour, whatever. With sketch, if you want people coming back to that same room every month, you gotta write some new stuff. So a challenge I have is to guest spot with some sketch people, and maybe even form a group, which that is maybe in the works as well. So we shall see.
Indeed. Gaggle Reflex. I love the name of it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, Gaggle Reflex. I'm not in the group. Ed Budd, who's a local celebrity with improv. Ali Flores is in it. Richard Paul, who's a big, longtime name here in improv in the Orlando area. Those are all like, there's absolutely wonderful people that are involved there, but that's just 3 of them right there. Jody Chase was also involved. I don't think she's doing it as much because she was working with the Star Wars Hotel for a long time there since it opened, and man, there have been so many casualties from the Star Cruiser. People I know, but yeah, lots of people behind Gaggle Reflex.
Indeed. And what's your favorite joke a comic has written?
Favorite? I don't know necessarily my favorite, but one of my favorite techniques, this is just the first thing that came to my head. Again, we've been talking about Robert Schimmel. I am going to paraphrase here terribly, but he's talking about his kid, and I'll do my best, Robert Schimmel. But he says, so we go to the store, we get this rabbit, and my daughter's got the rabbit, and we have this rabbit. We're taking care of the rabbit. Rabbit costs $5, and the rabbit gets sick. So my wife says, "Oh, we got to take the rabbit to the vet." Like, we're not taking the rabbit to the vet. It's going to cost $100. We're not taking a $5 rabbit to the veterinary office. We're not doing it. It's not happening. So we're at the vet. That's Robert Schimmel, and I love that about him.
Awesome. Now I gotta look him up, and he sounds like a great guy, or was a great guy, and
and he's raunchy. He's a comedian. He gets a lot raunchier than that, but he's great. But I love the that's not happening. That's not happening. So we're doing the thing. He does that a lot.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And what experience would you like your audience to take with them after a set is over?
Say that one more time.
What experience would you like your audience to take with them after a set is over?
So I really want my audience to feel like it's okay to be silly as a grown-ass adult. Go out there and be silly. Yeah, you laughed at the stuff I was doing, but go out there and be silly. Don't take everything so damn seriously. That's what I want people to take with them. I hope as I get older and my beard gets grayer, if that's possible, that people get the impression that they don't have to be so serious all the time. I don't care if you have kids or not. Have fun. Pay your bills, do all the things you need to do, but be a little silly sometimes.
Indeed. And so this is a stand-up speakeasy. It's a secret society of stand-up comics. And which 5 comics would you like to see on a future episode of the stand-up speakeasy?
Oh, crap. I'm trying to think of some people maybe that you haven't heard from. So you've already had Christian on here. Have you had Rue on here?
I have.
Okay. Niffer Swan.
Not yet.
Okay, that's one. I'm sure you've had Patrick or Amy because you know them. Gregory Metz. Have you had Gregory on here?
Not yet.
Yeah, Gregory Metz. He's a great guy. I'm sure you've had Donald Evans, or if not, you've heard his name. Shireen. Have you had Shireen?
I haven't had Donald or Shireen, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Shireen Kassam. Although I think Christian Miles already mentioned Shireen. She is great. She's one of those people who goes up and talks about things that matter to her, and like I'm so inspired. She's funny and she makes you think. Like that's it. That's George Carlin. She's nothing like George Carlin, but she's funny and she makes you think. That matters. That means something. You're not just going up there getting yucks. You're actually like teaching people shit. That's what she does. So I don't know if that was 5, but again,
one more for good measure.
You don't know. Ali
One more
Flores.
for good.
Ali.
Not yet, but I'll definitely get Ali on here for sure. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And Jason, let's see here. Do you have any shows coming up?
I do. I have a show coming up next Saturday, or I guess, yeah, next week, next Saturday. I just recently got the details. This is in Daytona at the Cinematique Theater. So this is Saturday, October 21st. It starts at 8 p.m. I'm probably going to be relatively early in the show. I'm just one of the people at the beginning, I'm sure, because there's a lot of talented comics on here. But we're doing a costumed stand-up. So I will be doing stand-up comedy, 10 minutes in full costume, and that's at Cinematique, Saturday, October 21st, 8 p.m. Yep, and that show is hosted by Andrew Ramos, who's also part of my Mama's comedy show troupe of cousins. That's what we call ourselves, which I'm performing Friday night in Orlando, improv. So this is something I was going to get back to. Friday night, this coming Friday, not yesterday, Friday the 13th. We had a Friday the 13th show, a improv torture show. Things like walking on mouse traps while we're trying to do a scene blindfolded. The power went out. Friday the 13th, the power went out. We couldn't do the show. So we're going to do the torture Halloween show on Friday at Sleuth's Mystery Dinner Theater next week. That show is also at 8 o'clock p.m. Mama's Comedy Show. So next week I'm performing on Friday night in Orlando, Saturday night on I Drive, Saturday night in Daytona at Cinematique.
Awesome.
So what?
Just like it's like Friday the 13th.
Oh, that's right. November 8th, I have another show coming up. My wife, she's my manager behind me here. I have another show coming up November 8th, which is Rue's show, which we're doing a slideshow comedy, which is kind of like TED Talk on November 8th, and that's going to be at the Bull and Bush.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All killer shows for sure. And it's like Friday the 13th, part 1, 2, and 3.
That's right. That's right.
Indeed. Awesome. So Jason, thank you so much for being my guest today, and thank you for improvising when everything went out and misdirecting and all the ridiculousness of this episode. And is there any final words you'd like to give out to the audience at home?
No, I would say I said no, and then I'm going to continue to say something. Support local comedy. Support local comedy. Make all those assholes who moved to Austin want to come back here because it sucks there because everybody left. Joe Rogan doesn't want to be in Austin anymore. I don't know that. I'm just saying that. But Orlando is a great place. We need to bring comedy back to Orlando, entertainment back to Orlando, and all you people who come back to Orlando. I miss my friends. And support A Better Life Pet Rescue. If you don't have pets, if you're allergic to pets or whatever, somebody you know is going to say one day, maybe I should get a cat. Go to A Better Life Pet Rescue. Support your local pet rescue.
Absolutely. And all the details are below. Jason's, all his social media and all that stuff. Donate to him. Donate to the cats and dogs and the animals. And thank you so much, Jason, for being my guest today. And hey, look at that, fireworks and everything. That's
We got
pretty
the feeling
awesome.
there.
I saw those filters and all that good stuff, and making that's awesome. I have yet to try those yet, so that's
I
you don't
didn't
even
do
need to
that.
bring
I don't know how that
me,
happened.
me
I thought you
neither.
did.
I didn't either. Maybe somebody in the audience is doing it for us. Pretty awesome. Good stuff. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. And this has been a wild ride, and it's it's perfect for your improv background. This was totally everything threw at us.
Or your local artist too. Like whoever made this.
Yep.
I
And
don't know.
all the pink flamingos and all the John Waters in the world, go support them. So awesome. Thanks, Jason. You rock, dude. And I'll piece this together and I'll put this and you can add it to your press kit. And
Cool.
we'll see you at the next episode of Stand Speakeasy. Be well, take care of each other, and we'll see you on the next
Good.
episode.
Have a good weekend.